Hi, this is Attila16 and this is a video of DCS World, and this will be a guide about the A-10A, which is a simpler version of the A-10 than the A-10C. It's still a pretty good plane, but I will only recommend you to get it if it's part of Flaming Cliff package. So this plane is an air-to-ground attack plane. You do have some air-to-air capacity, which we'll cover in this, but we'll mostly focus on air-to-ground. This guide will explain to you how to fly this really quickly without much technical terms. So normally, even without experience, in probably less than half an hour, you'll know about everything that there is to know about this plane. So let's check the loadout first. This plane contains all type of weapon that you might need. And on the left, for example, you have two A-9M missile, which are air-to-air. Then you have a couple of rockets. Then you have an AMG 65H. Then you have an MK82 bomb, traditional bomb, an MK84 bomb, which is just a bigger bomb essentially. Then in the middle you have a CBU, it's 87, which is a cluster bomb, perfect for infantry. Then here, well, you have another MK84, then an MK82. And then you have three more missile, which are AMG or AGM actually 65D. This is an infrared version of the AMG 65. So this is a version that I would recommend you to use on both wing. It's just that in this demonstration I'll show you both type. Then here you have a CBU 97, and finally on the last weapon, that's an MK82 Air. This has a parachute or something to slow down its fall. So very interesting stuff. Now we'll use all this, and of course this is an A-10, so you have the big gun in the middle at the nose of the plane. Okay, so now let's get on with flying this thing. So first of all, usually you start here and you have nothing on your wings. So the first thing you will want to do is get a loadout. In this case, I'll just show you the keys, but I won't load the loadout. So it's the left Alt key and open brace. This pop up this menu in which you can right click here and choose whatever you want and adjust the different aspect. They even take some loadout which are already defined. So now that it's done for you and done for me already, let's start this plane. So you need to power it up. It's right shift L. So that power up the power essentially. And then you want to start your engine. So it's the right Alt key on. If you would like to shut down your left engine, it will be right Alt End. So here you can see, you can hear the engine, actually the APU, which is accelerating there. Very interesting. And normally as it power up at about 100, you will see here the RPM increasing and the oil pressure as well. When that reach about 60 in RPM, you'll be, well, you will see the APU go down, and normally the engine will be ready. So now it's still going up, and actually you can see the engine turning, while the right engine is not turning. So you need to start them one at a time. Because your APU doesn't have sufficient power to start the boat. Now you can see the APU going down, which means you can now start the right engine, which is the right control ohm. There we go, APU going up, and that engine will start. Now this makes a lot of noise, so you want to lower your canopy. and you do this by Control C, and there we go. It's the left Control C, and now we're set, or nearly set actually. The engine is still starting. Now let's look outside and look at that. The front wheel is moving. Normally you can do that with your joystick, depending which joystick you have, but if you cannot, you can turn the wheel with the Z and X, Z being turning toward the left, and X turning toward right. Okay, now let's see, how are we here? Okay, secondary engine is about to be ready. Okay, so I'll just wait for that. And now we'll taxi to the runway. So increasing power and turning toward the tip of the runway because this plane is very loaded. And I'm going a bit fast, which means I need to know my wheel brakes. So that's W. Click W and that slow yourself down. And also sometime you might need your air brakes. So that's B. It's probably a good idea to set that B key on your joystick as well if you have enough button. Now I'm going a bit too fast here. Let's slow down. It's good to slow down with a few hits like that. There we go. It's a bit more reasonable. Okay, so turning now. Okay, very nice. So if you want to lower your flaps, for example, since this is a takeoff, click F, and if you click again, they'll go lower, and if you click again, they'll go higher. But for a takeoff, I guess first level should be enough. Okay, now let's go full power and accelerate. Now you need to try to remain aligned, but we're rolling. Now, that's not the straightest takeoff ever, but should be fine. Now when actually you look here, you see that number increasing on the left of the HUD. That's your speed. For takeoff, you should be okay to take off at 170. So let's hope I reach it. Okay, 160. And now we should be fine. There we go. We are in the air at about 171 and 2. And now the gears are out, so you need to click G to raise them. And also G to lower them. So G for gear, of course. And now we are in the air. Now once you're in the air, you have no idea where to go, usually. But if the mission is well designed, you should have waypoints. Now let's look at that HUD down there. Currently, let's see. Let's go with you click 1, and that cycles the different type of HUD that you might have. And now let's see. Okay, I want that one. And now we have a couple of waypoints. And let's select waypoint. Oh, there was waypoint 1 there. Okay, let's go with waypoint 1. Now at the top here you have an indication of the direction, and at the bottom you have the two lines which are below the 12 number. That also indicates you a bit the direction which you should go to. Now I'd switch because I'm turning probably took the long turn, let's say. And you'll see as I reach waypoint 1, there's also a timer there that tells you it's about 1 minute away at the speed you're going. Also here, if your HUD ever fail you, there's an indication of distance and also a compass. Okay, we're getting close to the right turn there. So that waypoint is over there. You can see the square. So waypoint 1 is the airport. That's good to know. and waypoint 2. Let's switch to waypoint 2. You can switch waypoint with left control and semicolon, I think. It's the button usually used for console, usually, I think. So waypoint 2 is over there by the sea. Now waypoint 3 is likely my target. And there we go, we're directing ourselves toward that target, and there you are. So you see all those red label over there? That's usually not there. I put it there because this is an easier difficulty, which allows me to show you things. And at first, there's actually a label in the sky over there, red. I'm not sure if you see it on the video, but that's a fighter plane, which we'll look at right now. That's a MiG 15, and I will shut it down. Now, usually I will say avoid air-to-air stuff with an A-10, and that's probably a wise advice. And the occasion in which you will engage an enemy with a missile are extremely rare. And on top of that, it's actually really hard to get an identification of is it a foe or a friend. In this case, it's pretty clear because there's a label in red on it, and also it's a target I put there myself. So, but in multiplayer, forget it. Okay, so now let's switch to air mode. You do that by clicking 6, and that gives you a name. Well, you know that circle there, which lock on infrared. Well, emission, which is the engine of the enemy. And now it locked by itself. So very no big deal. Engaging, firing an aim 9. And how about another one? And there we go. That's one hit. Another missile is going on its way, and that's 2 hit. Target destroyed. Now this is all pretty, but this is something you probably will never have to do ever. So that's pretty rare. Now that thing up there, usually that's for the gun. So if you go with the gun, you want to put the wings of your enemy in between those lines to actually hit it. But once again, it's very unlikely you'll ever have to do that. So that's good to know, right? So that's all there is to know about the air-to-air aspect of this plane. And let's move a bit further away from the air-to-ground stuff. So 6 is the key to go to air-to-air, and 7 is the key to go to air-to-ground. And now we have a lot of weapons. You change weapons with D. With the D key, you can cycle between the weapons. And I think at first, what I'll do is I'll go with that weapon, which is identified very greatly with number 3. And you can see right here, this is those white missiles over there. So that's a TV guided fire and forget missile. And I'll show you how good it can be, or how badly it can be. So there you go, you have the target over there. So I'm moving that red well, not that red circle, but that circle, which is moving that view here as well. When I'm near the target zone, I click enter, and that will lock on to something. And I can zoom in with plus and minus like this. And actually, if you don't have track IR or want a good close look at it, you click number pad 0, and then you hold it and you click 6, and that will give you a pretty good idea of what you're seeing here, much clearer than even with track IR. Now let's see, we have a lock on something, so I'm firing my missile. Now my circle is all the way up there, so I need to get it down quickly. Click enter, fire again, and the circle is back up. Click enter, select another target, fire. So you can see that I did manage to fire my 3 missile of that type really quickly, and that will likely kill everything. These missiles are really good against tank, and you probably will want to use them mostly as Nantai, Shilka, or Tunguska, or Tor, or whatever anti-air are down there. But as you can see, it's easy to see the target when it's on a runway, but when it's in a forest, not so much. That's why you might want to use the D version of that weapon, which is right here, and you can see already a difference. Now, instead of being mostly white, now it's mostly black and white, and that's because this is thermal, and that's very useful, and you'll see why. Now let's speed up away from the AO. Now, okay, let's turn now, and we will re-engage. That should go fine if I don't crash myself for going too fast. There we go. So now we'll engage these enemies with thermal. Okay, now let's take a look, or actually let's go with that view. Now ignore the red stuff flying around because we don't care about that. But notice how these, well, all the vehicles are really standing out. And this is extremely useful at spotting, especially when you don't really have those labels revealing everything. So, as you can see, let's target this. Go. Fire again. So, once you fire these, usually disengage because you might receive anti-air fire from there. In my case, these are all unarmed, so it's not much of an issue. But pretty big explosion down there. So now I fired all my missile, and I will say use the second variation of it, so the D version, as opposed to the H version, because the 65 D version is so good to spot from afar. Especially with this plane where you don't have a pod which allows you to have an amazing vision. So it's important to really take advantage of everything you can. And the IR technology of the missile is really it. So as you go toward a waypoint, it's good to scan with the IR and get into that view there. And you'll be able to know what's going on, and that will also shape the battlefield in your mind so you can spot stuff easier. Otherwise, you might have to fly above a zone and just see the missile coming your way to figure out where you're supposed to bombard. And that's really not safe. Okay, now, next weapon. Now let's go with, let's go with CBU-97. This is one of the strongest weapon ever, I'm telling you. But if there's wind, you might not even be in the target zone, and that's really problematic. So this is a bit of a tricky weapon to use. This is a cluster bomb. It's spread around, and it's extremely effective if it's on target. Now in this case, this is a CBU, so I'll use the targeting mode of CCRP, which means targeting by release point. And here I switch that with O. You can switch between CCIP and CCRP using that switch there and the O key. Now I'm a bit close. This might be a bit tricky. But okay, I will target over there. Yeah, that's more or less good. Now you can see there's a line and there's a square up there. So what you want to do is to make the circle fit that square. Otherwise you will miss. So there we go. And the bomb's away. And there we go. I'll just stabilize here. And I will actually... Yeah, okay. Let's do this. Now, look at that. It's spreading around. There's many more... Well, actually, it's kind of hard to see, but there is a couple of small parachute, which will be extremely effective at targeting something. Okay, now let's turn around. It can take a while to reach the ground, but when it does, it's very deadly. I might even have time to do another pass before it reach. Now let's see. I'm not even sure if we'll manage to get an eye on. I'll remove those markers, they are annoying. Okay, so now we see a few explosions. Actually, 4 or 5 explosions. So that was a really good drop, actually. Now, let's see. Yeah, there's literally one. Yeah, that was really good. And I dropped it in the center, but you can see that the target were not all concentrated in the center. So this is a very powerful weapon, but at the same time, it's really unpredictable. That was the CBU 97. Now let's go with the CBU 87. And we'll go once again in CCRP because cluster bomb are CCRP friendly, let's say. Because you sometimes need the altitude to actually be effective with it. Okay, so now let's see. We'll move the marker here. Let's bombard this. No, actually not this. We'll go over there instead. Okay, let's bombard this. There we go. Now we need to align ourselves. I can see that square is kind of low. There we go. Bomb away. Now this one is not as smart as the other one, but it can be effective nonetheless. So it should explode now. Oops, that's not what I wanted to see. Why is this plane so fat? I think we missed all the explosion. Well, we see the smoke, but that did not really kill much. And this is because the CBU 87 is it's really not that great, to be honest. It's not strong enough to destroy a tank. You can probably destroy trucks or infantry, but as for the tanks, I really doubt it. Okay, now let's switch to another weapon, rockets. Yeah, I think I'm kind of close, but I could be able to engage with the rockets. Now let's do that. Now that's only you here, that means I'm stalling. But let's say it's a control stall until I crash on the ground. Okay, now let's look closer. And essentially you just need to align and click the fire button. Now those rockets are really not that powerful, and I'm already out, but that gives you an idea. So now that we had a pass, let's see. I'm not sure, I think I killed one. But rockets, once again, good against truck, infantry, but tank, not really. It's not strong enough. Okay, now we have only bombs. Let's see where the bombs that remains. Big bombs. Okay, now we'll speed this up and go away. There we go. Am I far enough? Yeah, I should be far enough. So we did some CCRP drops, which are not that hard. You just have to select with the circle here, move it around with the dot key and coma key, and you know, it's like you have you need to consider those key like arrows essentially, which move it around. But you should probably put that on your joystick if you have space for that. All right, so now we'll do a CCIP drop instead, and we'll see how that goes. So flying. There we go. Now we are aligned. Now since I'm doing a CCIP attack, which means by point of impact, which means on my HUD I'll see where the bomb is supposed to drop, instead of where I'm supposed to release it automatically. So I need some altitude to do that dive. Okay, we are getting close. There we go. So I'm diving now. Actually, I want MK82. And let's drop a bomb on these. Oops, that really was off. There we go. So I dropped 2 pairs of bombs. Now that one was completely off, but that one was dead on. So the first drop was accidental on my part, so I'm sorry about that, but the second one was dead on because the circle was on the target actually. So that was good. And so I dropped the 2 MK82 and I dropped the 2 MK84. Now there is a detail I should tell you, is that here you have the rip quantity, and in this case it's on 2. You can change that by left control spacebar, and usually it's good to go with the rip quantity of 1. But sometimes that doesn't always work and it makes no sense at all, but in theory that's how it works. It's just that it seemed bugged. Now I only have 1 bomb remaining, and it's MK82 Air, so this one has a parachute. I'll do well, I guess I could yeah, let's do CCIP. Now I just need to find a proper target. Okay, first of all I need to get a line. I'm still pretty high up, so that should not be a problem when it comes to the dive. So the air version is the same as the MK82, it's just that it has something to slow it down. Usually you might want to use that for carpet bombing of a zone, and you might want to use that also potentially for low altitude bombing. So we're dropping.
Pull up.
There we go, dropping. Let's see, that bomb has a parachute, as you can see. Let's see. Boom. That was completely not where I fired it. And why is that? Well, it's probably the wind. Because since this thing has a parachute, it's impacted by the wind. So my guess is you probably don't want to use that either. And now I'm out of bombs, missiles. And actually at that point we might want to drop all the useless weight we have, so we can do that with Control W. So that dropped the rocket launcher, which was empty now, the rocket pod. And now we'll go with guns. So it's D to cycle between the different weapons, but it's C to activate that gun. And now we'll do a pass with the gun. Now, of course, this is an A-10, and the gun is extremely powerful. And as a result, you might want to be very conservative about the kind of burst of ammo you're doing. So, small burst. And hopefully that will hit. Another burst. And that did hit. Yeah, this one is moving and running away, but he's burning. So as you can see, very short burst. And this thing is super effective. I deployed the brake, the air brake, which is B. Just a reminder. Now let's fly away from here. And we'll come back. There's very few targets remaining, so I might kill them all. Or perhaps not, depends. I think I'll do one more pass, and from there we'll go land to maintain this video a bit short. Okay, slowing down with the air brakes. You can hear them actually, a bit subtle, but it's there. So 2 small bursts on that one. Oh, that one was completely off. You can see this gun is so powerful that you have a significant recoil when you shoot it.
Altitude.
Accelerating.
Pull up.
Now that gun is extremely powerful, but you need to understand that you also need to go at low altitude, and you need to expose yourself to enemy AA potentially. So that's not necessarily a good idea to do a gun run all the time, despite this plane being very specifically built around that gun. Now let's do another turn think there's very few target remaining. I speed up the time. Okay, there we go. Another pass. There's one more truck there. Very subtle movement there. That should hit. Oh, not sure if that's on. Nope.
Altitude, altitude.
Now that's on. There's still one truck remaining there, but I think that will be enough. So this one exploded. And as you can see, very little will remain. These were all trucks, so fairly easy target, and they were not firing back, which is also important. But if they did fire back, you will hold, well, you will click Q, actually, which is this button here. So you click Q normally, and that drops flares. And that will protect you from missile. Now, of course, depending the angle and many different contexts, it will be hard to dodge a missile. But what can go wrong? Usually when you enter a zone where you expect incoming fire, it's good to start dropping flares right away instead of waiting for something to happen. Okay, so here we go with the landing. So going into navigation computer, second mode, this one is more appropriate for landing. And now let's go toward the landing. So right now I'm going a bit fast. So I'll slow down with the air brakes. And I will lower the gears with G key. Perhaps I'm going a bit fast for deploying those gears, but I guess the wind will also slow me down. So slowing down, 200. 190 should be fine. Okay, now we're good.
Altitude, altitude.
So that should be a smooth landing, I hope. You never do. I'll deploy the flaps. Perhaps I'm a bit high currently. Yeah, a bit high. That was a bit rough. I'll deploy the air brakes also. I'm holding W to slow down as fast as possible, and you can see the speed going down really quickly. And when you reach about, well, when it says 0, you're pretty safe. And you can get out of the runway as fast as possible. I hope I don't end up in the grass. Oh, there we go.
Enfield 1-1, taxi to parking area.
Alright, so I could go all the way to the taxi area, but that's not so interesting. So I'll just stop it here. I'll park here, which is something you should never do, because in multiplayer that blocks the path to other people, which you don't want to do. And now what you do is you click the right Alt N key. That shut down the engine over there. And the right Control N key. That shut down this. And with both engine shut down, hopefully, you can open your canopy. And assuming you want to do another sortie, you do the left Alt key and open brace. And now you tell the base to, first of all, refuel you. And secondly, increase the gun ammo here. Because the rest is okay. Perhaps a bit more, well, whatever. You can increase your flare depending. There you go. And then
Request refueling.
you request your refueling, request
Request
rearming.
rearming.
And now they will.
Copy.
So this is pretty much it. You pretty much saw everything you can do with this plane. What mattered the most is to use IR missile to scout the area, and after that you're fine. So that was my guide for the A-10A. I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you on the next guide.